Good evening. Welcome to the Farming Podcast brought to you by Private Property. My name is Mbali Nwoko, the farmer and the host of the Private Property Farming Podcast that comes through to your screens every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Please follow us on all our social media channels, which is Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. It's quite endless. And if you're looking for content as well, we've got a fantastic YouTube channel where you could catch all the farming podcast episodes that we've had. I think we're approaching a year now, so it's been quite phenomenal being part of this journey, educating you at home and connecting and meeting lots of farmers throughout South Africa in various geographic regions, locations, doing phenomenal things on the ground, supporting and also uplifting their communities that they work for. I think, if you've been following this podcast, you would definitely see the growth that we've had in the past couple of months. Today, we have a farmer that is not new to the farming podcast. We've had her before. And in our previous conversation, we spoke about how to start a family farm cooperative or being in an agri-cooperative, the benefits, pros and cons, what to look out for, what you need to do as a member of a cooperative, the responsibilities, and how do you hold other farm members accountable. Farming can be very, very gruesome at some times, and you always have to manage your business throughout the different seasons. And so if you have aspirations of joining a cooperative, please catch our episode with Ipeleng Kgwadi on YouTube, and you will get all the advice and tips that she's given us on the pros and cons and how to start a family cooperative, how you could grow one, and what type of commodities you could choose. But today we have her onto the show because she has just started her new farming enterprise. She has not left the family farm per se. She's still helping out a bit, but we are going to talk about her new farming journey, and she'll tell us all about that. So if you have any questions for Ipeleng Kgwadi today, please feel free to drop a comment, share this video. We love engagement, and it's always great to also see and hear different questions that you, the audience, has for our guests this evening. So last thing, share, comment, and please do engage with us during our conversation this evening with Ipeleng. But let's bring her onto the show. Ipeleng, good evening, and thank you for coming back to the Farming Podcast. How are you doing?
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Bali. It's such an honor to be part of this show once again. Being a part of this show again, it shows that there is something that I'm doing right. So it's such an honor to be here again.
Absolutely. Don't doubt yourself. The fact that you're in farming is just amazing, and being a female in that, in a very male-dominated industry and very, very tough space to be in. I mean, we're both farmers and we know the challenges that we deal with on a daily basis on the ground. So, you don't need to come into the podcast to know that you're doing amazing work. You are already doing phenomenal work. But, we had you onto the show previously talking about cooperatives. Today, it's all about you, the CEO, the farmer, the female farmer, starting a new enterprise. Tell us about it. When did you start? When did you decide to break away maybe from the family operations and start your farming business? And what commodity are you trading?
Okay. Thank you once again. Ipeleng Kgwadi, we've seen her. She's a young farmer from Brits in the Northwest Province. And I grew up with the family background where both parents are farmers. And like Mbali has said, that I've been featured on the show sharing about cooperative farming on the previous season. So currently, you will see that most of the time within the crawl in a family business. Actually, I was dealing with the nutrition of animals. All the animals in the farm, it was my duty to make sure that they are well fed. So along that journey, I've just realized that, there is a gap in the livestock production. You will realize that most of emerging farmers, they just farm livestock and then they want to buy feed. They buy feed. Then I identified the gap that there is a gap that needs to be filled where I need to produce the feed. So initially, when I went and looked for the farm, I wanted to plant feed so that I can supply the livestock farmers. So now, in farming, you need to plan. You need to know how you generate cash. It's not going to be easy to venture into that journey. Like you get the money, you just start with feeding. So I've decided to start with vegetable farming, because if you can look around the breadth climate in our district, vegetation. So I've decided that I'm going to start with vegetables and generate enough income so that I can be able to venture into planting the beets.
Right. So for anybody who didn't catch that, because you did break away a little bit, or we just were disconnected a little bit. So you were working in the family farm, which is a livestock farm, and now you've moved on to vegetables as a means or ways of diversification. And the capital that you're looking to generate in vegetables is to start your own feeding business, because a lot of the farmers go into the industry wanting to farm livestock, but are shocked or surprised at the high prices that feed goes for at this point in time. So what type of vegetables are you farming? On how many hectares? Did you have to go out and find new land? Or was your family farm big enough for you to start your horticulture production?
I had to go out and, experience and get the opportunity to learn how to access the right. Most of the farmers, they will be saying we are struggling to get the land. So I didn't want to sit comfortable in a family farm where everything just comes easy. Remember, in farming, we learn everything. So I had to go out there like anybody, apply for the land, apply for the lease. And fortunately, I managed to get the lease from one of the farmers in Brits. He allocated me 10 hectares. And I managed to start farming the cabbage and spinach on that land. So, yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. This is the Private Property podcast. How did you find this farmer who was leasing the land? Did you have to find them online, maybe on the private property site? Or was it just purely word of mouth?
Look, there are people with farms and they are not utilizing those farms. Yeah. So I took a bold step and approached this guy and look, I'm Ipeleng Kgwadi, I'm a young farmer, and I can see that you've got the land. Can you give me at least the 10 hectares or however that we can agree upon so that I can be able to produce? Then we can sit down and negotiate how I'm going to pay my lease. So, yeah, those are, it's very, as a young girl, getting to negotiate about the land, it's on another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe break down those negotiation strategies, because I've personally had people come to tell me that, how do they determine between themselves and the landlord the fee or rate per hectare for renting? And it's always such a tricky one because land in various provinces fetch different prices per hectare. So maybe unpack that negotiation stage. I mean, what are some of the things that you've learned during that process, and what else could you advise to someone maybe who's just starting out on that negotiation journey?
Okay, throughout this negotiation journey, sometimes it depends on the person you are approaching. Because this guy, he was not utilizing the land. He had no idea about agriculture. And then he was looking forward to learning through myself. So what happened, we sat down and involved. I normally tell people that, in agriculture, we need lawyers, we need financial assistance, we need so many professions within the industry. So now here's the little girl, she's negotiating about the land. It's a very sensitive issue that you need to be sure that you put the contract on the table, you agree on certain terms. So there are some of my friends who are leasing and they are paying the way you are saying per hectare, they are supposed to be paying this much. So with me, it was much better because I had the opportunity to say, look, as a plow back to your family, I'll be able to take 2 of your daughters, bring them on board, and go with them through each and every step about agriculture, so that tomorrow, when I'm able to get my own farm, this one they may be able to utilize this farm. So we've agreed upon the every 30% profit on the farm, it's for the family. And again, I'm facilitating his daughters. So I'm happy to say that his daughters now, all of them, they are doing the final year in the agriculture college in Portugal. So we are moving.
Wow, Ipeleng, that is such an innovative way to secure land. I must say I'm quite impressed, and I think you thought forward in such a way to say, how do I not only farm here but create value and impact for young agri students? And I mean, we all know how the employment in our sector is. A lot of our youth is unemployed with degrees, with theoretical knowledge and expertise. And so I must commend you for that strategy, because typically a person would go for rental per hectare. So giving back a certain percentage of that, and also roping in and teaching and providing skills and adding value to the landlord's daughters is such a commendable thing that you did. So let's move on to the next step. You've secured the 10 hectares. You said you're planting spinach and cabbage. Why specifically spinach and cabbage? And, how difficult or easy was it moving from livestock and migrating into, these cash crops? And how's your market journey been? Have you started harvesting? Just tell us about why spinach and cabbage and what you did after securing that 10 hectares.
Okay, look, livestock and horticulture are two different things. And you'll realize that now you've been doing well in the livestock, the health, vaccinations, and everything that includes the health of animals. And when you get to the plants now, it's different. There's water, the water rights. When you think of plants, the first thing that comes into your mind is water. Do you have enough water? Do you have water rights? When I got that farm, I had the problem of the water rights, which is something that we really don't bring into our conversation, because most of the farmers, we are looking at the borehole but reality is that when you farm, there are certain things such as water rights that you need to put in the conversation, where the government needs to make sure that the procedure of getting the water rights is no longer the long one, because even today I have still applied the license for my water rights, and I haven't received the license. That means I won't be able to use the water from the dam. So those are some of the challenges that we are learning throughout farming each and every day. So now here's the young lady. I had to prepare a borehole so that I can be able to water my plants. Remember, plants are very sensitive. So now, when we are talking about Women's Month, these are some of the issues that we need to bring on the table, that really, guys, it's really hard. As a young woman, you are working hard to invest in the land, and there are people out there who are taking advantage of you. Even today, if I have to tell you that the borehole that I had to make in that farm, somebody had to run away with the money without delivering. So those are some of the things that are really taking us back. But the reality, I'm buying water even today. Every week I make sure I buy water so that I can water my plants. And in reality, if you can look at that journey, people are going through a lot. And if I was relaxed in a family business, I would be saying, no, my dad has got water rights. We don't have problem with the land, the production. We are commercial on the livestock. So everything just comes. But I'm glad that I took this bold step and say, I need to learn. I don't need to relax. I need to learn what is happening out there, how other people are dealing with such issues. But so far, I've managed to have our first harvest, though even if I did not make profit, but I know that farming is all about learning. We learn. Now I know that this is where I went wrong. This is what I'm supposed to focus on. And during the harvesting season, this is what, basically in farming, we work with the calendar, with the season. And especially in horticulture, you guys are working.
Indeed, horticulture is quite intensive. Yeah, it's very, very intensive as opposed to livestock farming. But, you've mentioned so many critical elements. It's about, when you start any farming operation or your farming business, there's a lot of learning that has to go into place. And if you're a young person as well, going to new territory, not having enough experience, there are people, unfortunately, that will take advantage of your lack of knowledge in that specific commodity, and in your case, in horticultural vegetable farmings. And again, water license, how you have to comply with government laws and regulations. All of these things, these are stumbling blocks and challenges that can deter anyone from even deciding to pursue farming, because, you pass one hurdle, then you're met with another and another and another. So I did ask, why is it that you decided to farm spinach and cabbage specifically? I'm glad you started your first harvest. So take us through that marketing thinking, right? Why is it you decided on spinach and cabbage? Is it a crop that not a lot of people are farming in your area? And maybe is it high demand? Or do you feel that, okay, these are the most in-demand crops that anybody can buy, whether it's formalized or established businesses right through to the informal traders? And how many hectares of that 10 hectares are you producing the spinach and cabbage?
Okay, it's 5 hectares for cabbage, 5 hectares for spinach. And I believe in the informal market. From a family business, you will realize that we have the market, we are supplying bullets with meat, and we are relaxed. We know basically that we are sure of the market. But when you get to the spinach, we harvest, and then instead of taking the spinach to the market, I've decided that, I'm just going to stay on the street and sell and get 100% profit. There's nobody who's going to determine the price. I'm going to determine the price for myself. So I've been getting 100% profit from selling the spinach and cabbage.
Yeah. And who's guiding you through that crop production process? Having come with a very heavy livestock background, who's guiding you with the crop production process, dealing with pests and diseases, dealing with crop rotation practices? Like you said, also, water is very, very critical. I mean, we're approaching the very, very hot months where Brits is going to be blazing hot. So who's guiding you through that crop rotation process, growing a successful crop to sell to your market at the end of the day?
Okay. In my profile, you will realize that I'm in the office of the Premier, and I'm facilitating youth. I'm on the mentoring program for youth in the Northwest Province. So basically, we do have WhatsApp groups. These WhatsApp groups, they are very, very important. Don't undermine them, because at the end of the day, we need each other. We are trying to make a value chain within this WhatsApp groups. So whenever I'm experiencing a certain problem, I'm able to say, look, this is what I'm going through, guys. Can you help me with one? Those people, they respond immediately. So when there's an opportunity in the market, those guys will just share the prices. Look, guys, today the market is doing well. Let's go and take our products there. So through the network with other young farmers, we are able to assist one another.
Yeah. And for someone listening to you, because I like the word that you keep using, comfort, coming from an established family farm, you're comfortable in just operating in that environment. Now you went out and branched out and went on your own, learned so many things, overcome certain hurdles. And for a person who maybe doesn't come from a family farm background, but is pretty much on their own, meaning they're the first to go into the agribusiness sector, or into farming sector rather, and starting out maybe in vegetables, like how much does it take to start such an operation? Looking at the seeds, your seedlings, maybe if you're using seedlings, fertilizers, boreholes, how much should one be looking at in terms of maybe putting it in the kitty and say, this is my budget to get the basics right before I start planting? Maybe it just could be an average figure just to start off with.
Okay, depending on the amount of land that you want to use, but the borehole costs up to 90,000 just for the borehole. This is how much I spend. And then about land preparations when you lease those, when you rent out those farming implements. Remember, you need to prepare the land. They'll be telling you 10,000 to prepare the land, just to prepare. And then you still need fertilizers and pest control. So close to, let's say, 140K. And still you are not sure if you are going to make the profit.
Wow, that is very true. If you're just catching us this evening, we're speaking to a farmer in the Northwest based in Brits, Ipeleng Kgwadi, and we're speaking about her new venture that she's just started recently, a few months ago. She comes from a very established family farm supplying beef to a well-known retailer, and she took a bold chance to say, hey, I'm going to find my own land, be on my own, and start a horticulture business. And she's currently farming vegetables, spinach and cabbage to be precise. And I know you're probably looking at the title here to say, leaving a family farm to start her own Agri-Empire. And indeed, she's pretty much walked us through her journey of how difficult it's been starting an operation. So I think for anybody watching this evening, just note that starting a business and growing it into something that is noteworthy, that clients could speak about and be happy about what you're producing, does take a lot of work, and it takes guts to succeed in that space. So Ipeleng, you started, you've planted, you've harvested, you've found your own strategy to say you're going to farm to the informal markets. How's it been also training these young female graduates that you've onboarded and provide skill on how to farm? How's it been just being the CEO of your business, navigating a new business, which is a new commodity that you're learning, at the same time trying to educate, train, and uplift the youth that you're mentoring your business? How are you managing all of that?
Well, because I'm one person, I believe in working collectively. I do once in a while go to the I believe in the value chain, starting from the high school. I do go to the high schools and talk to agriculture learners, adopt some of them, take them to the farm, show them that this is what we do in the agriculture sector. There are a lot of opportunities that you can do. And I'm happy, I think 3 years ago, I started this initiative of plowing back to the community, going to the high schools, sharing with those learners that, look, there's so much opportunities in the agriculture. And now some of them, they are still at the college, and some of them, after completing their agricultural studies, they don't know where to go. They'll be asking you in your DMs, Ipeleng, I need to come and volunteer. I want to tell them, don't give up. Most of the things, they've started with volunteering. When you volunteer, you are exposing yourself out there that this is me, I'm able to do 1, 2, 3. So with the agricultural qualifications, and you sit back at home and watch other people doing agriculture, it's not going to work for you. Just go out. There's nobody who's going to come and help you if you don't help yourself. So even some of the agricultural interns and those who are unemployed graduates, they do come and volunteer in the farm. And then obviously we see how we can assist them, because, life is so tough to work without getting anything. But one thing that I always tell them is to work hard. Somebody out there will be looking at us. And at some point, I'm quite confident that if I can get the funding from the government or any private sector, I can be able to employ more and more and more youth, more especially women. You can see how vibrant we've got a lot of young people, women who are working hard. Hey, Bali, look, we are looking up to you. I always tell you that I'm always reading your articles. So it's upon us farmers to make sure that this industry is doing well, and we produce. The most important thing, it's business. It's not a lifestyle, it's a business. We want to make money, and we want to expand to other African continents, other African countries, and say, let's work together as a youth. In Africa is rich. Africa, there is potential. There is so much skills that can be developed. There's so much production that can be done in Africa. We can even export to other countries. So if South African youth and Zimbabwe and Botswana, we are working together, there's going to be so much in Africa.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you mentioned that this is business. Farming is business. And talking about business, having left the operations at the farm, within the livestock farm, has your family supported you in this new venture? And how have they supported you?
Well, I was struggling with tax compliances. Then my dad had to come and say, no, baby, this is how we do things. Because you are on your own company, you want to be you want to make decisions on your company. You want to be the CEO. You need to, it's your responsibility to make sure that at the end of the month, you must be able to pay your employees. Never ever miss a day of paying your employees and your tax. Make sure that you comply. You can complain about the tax and tax being taxed everywhere, but make sure that you pay for your bills. So they are very supportive. All my initiatives that I do, my sisters and my brothers, they do come and see how they can assist me in growing. Even you saw our event, the one of Kamu. I was telling my sister that you must come and support. So you are strong about, some people will think that Ipeleng is doing well, and it's not because of me or my ability. Behind me, there are a lot of people who are uplifting me, more especially my family.
Wow, that's great to hear, and to know that your family is 100% besides you. And I agree with that. As farmers, you need to have a network, of individuals that you could obviously contact at any given point in time, more especially when you're experiencing challenges. So what's next for your farm operations? We're going into a new season right now, warmer season, summer season. What's next on your farm operations? And where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay, agro-processing. Everybody's talking about agro-processing. Now we are talking about technology now. We are farming smart. I need to see myself on the next generation being one of those successful agro-processing ladies, processing, sending our products in Africa, in other countries. And I've got so much. But look, I used to respond to that question with passion. I used to say, look, I want to see myself exporting, sending my products in other countries. But right now we've got crisis in South Africa. There's a lot of unemployment. So now most of my plans, they have to be within home. You cannot improve other countries or other continents while at home there is a huge gap of unemployment. So right now with our business models, we are trying to see how we are going to create enough employment in the agriculture sector.
Indeed, charity does begin at home, and I like that approach. It's about uplifting the communities that we serve and that support us at the end of the day. To sum up this conversation, Ipeleng, which has been very, very thoughtful and enlightening, as well as inspiring to learn and hear about your story. Because it is Women's Month after all, and you're a young female farmer in the sector, what final words or would you give to young females or just women in the agri space, and not necessarily farmers, but people that are working in government offices, who are facilitating policies that are favorable to farmers, maybe women in the banks who are running small portfolios or large portfolios in the bank industry where agribusiness or agriculture is concerned, to science, you name it. So what advice would you give to women in the agricultural sector, since it is Women's Month?
Okay, now I think COVID-19 came at a time where it made us aware that we have the potential. With so much job losses, we have seen a lot of people showing interest in the agriculture space. So what I want to tell them is that it's possible that you can invest in the agriculture sector. You need to start small, you learn, allow yourself to make mistakes, correct them, don't give up. And you use those mistakes to change and so that you can grow. So let's go back to our roots, start small. Don't want 500 hectares without knowing how you're going to utilize. Make your researches, do your business plans, ask people. The most important thing is to ask people with experience to help you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Ipeleng Kgwadi. You're such a gem. That was Ipeleng Kgwadi, livestock. Actually now horticulture farmer based in Northwest. She was previously on the show talking about cooperatives, and she touched on her family farm that is a livestock farm. But this episode was all about her new business, her new venture, which she started farming cabbages as well as spinach in the Brits area. So I like some of the highlights for me is that I like how her approach in finding and seeking land and also negotiating for this farm lease that she's farming on. And she shared some gems pretty much on the average or startup costs that you could look at spending for your seeds, for your seedlings, your fertilizers, your borehole as well. And so I hope that when you're watching this episode, if you missed it, or if you've watched it tonight and joined us this evening, but didn't ask questions because you were really, really glued to the screen and listening to every single word that Ipeleng said, I hope you really learned a lot because she touched on some very, very important points and factors that not only as women, but just as new entrants in the farming space face, water license regulations, challenges of having to find the right suppliers, credible suppliers that could actually deliver a job at the end of the day, even after you've paid them. And also trying to identify ways to market your product and also uplift the community. And that's what you will hear in this episode tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. And please catch us on Thursday at 8 o'clock. And you can catch the repeat of this episode on our YouTube channel. That is it from us. Take care and good night. Thank you.